A very good morning, class 8, and welcome to your history class. Students, we are doing the chapter Women, Caste and Reform, and we have covered the chapter. Almost 80% of the chapter is completed, isn't it? So, before proceeding to the next topic, let us quickly have a recall. Let us quickly recapitulate whatever we did during our last live class, that is on Saturday. Okay, so the topics that we covered on Saturday during our live class was demands for equality and justice and Gulamgiri. So let me ask you all a few questions before I move on to today's topics. So tell me, by whom was the Satnami movement in central India founded? It was founded by Ghasidas. Next, who questioned the Brahmanical text that supported the caste system in eastern Bengal? Can you recall who that person was? He was Haridas Thakur. Then there was another person in Kerala who was totally against the caste system and who believed that all religion, all caste, and all God were actually the one. Who was he? He was Sri Narayan Guru. And then, students, we talked about another vocal social reformer who was educated by the Christian missionaries, and he was none other than, yes, he was none other than Jyotirao Phule. So he was that person who developed his own ideas about the injustices done to the caste system in India, and he wanted to bring an end about it, isn't it? He criticized the Aryans who claimed themselves to be the Brahmins, the so-called pure-blooded people. According to him, the Aryans were all foreigners who came to India, who fought with the people of India, and who established their supremacy in India, leaving the real soil, son of the soil, downtrodden. So he was totally against it. And again, he also was against different kinds of oppressions, not only the caste system. And that is why he wrote a book which was called Gulamgiri. And he dedicated this book to all the Americans who had fought to free the slaves. So he did not like the slavery system that was going on in America. And that is why he wanted to compare the caste system in India and the slavery system in the USA. And in that way, he wrote a book, and the name of the book was Gulamgiri. So students, this is all what we have studied in the last class. So today we have another topic coming up. Rather, we have two topics. First, we will understand who could enter the temples. That means who were allowed to enter the temples and who were not. And then we will talk about the non-Brahmin movement, which was started by yet another vocal social reformer somewhere in South India. So shall we begin? All right, so before we begin, let us, as usual, quickly go through the learning outcome of today's class. So after completion of today's topics, today's discussion, you all will be in a position to explain the caste discrimination that was experienced by B.R. Ambedkar during his school days. Again, you all will be also able to highlight the role of Periyar in the non-Brahmin movement in the southern part of India. So without further ado, let us quickly begin. So the topic that we are about to start with today is who could enter temple. So here we directly talk about Ambedkar, and let us talk about his experience with untouchability, with injustice, and also let us try to understand what was his role in getting people inside the temple who were not actually allowed by the Brahmins. So let us look at that first. So who was B.R. Ambedkar? B.R. Ambedkar was a person who had a very important role to play in Indian liberation, isn't it? This person, this great soul, was born into a Mahar family. Mahar is like a community, some lower caste community of Maharashtra. So Ambedkar as a child experienced caste prejudice, caste discrimination in everyday life, because obviously he belonged to a very lower class group, especially he was actually from the untouchables, the so-called untouchables or the present day Dalits. So because he belonged to the Mahar family, which was actually, the untouchable community. That is why in school he was not treated equal to all the students. He was forced to sit outside the classroom, he was forced to sit on the ground, and even he was not allowed to drink the water from the taps that the upper caste children used to drink from in school. But although he faced a lot of discrimination on many accounts, if you read his work, you will be able to understand that he fought against all these discriminations. Ambedkar was a bright student, and that is why once he finished school, he got a scholarship to go to the US for higher education. So in 1919, he returned to India, and when he returned, he wrote a lot about how the upper caste people were dominating the lower caste people, how the upper caste power in the contemporary society, in the present society, was dominating, was suppressing the originality of the lower caste people. So, accordingly, in 1927, Ambedkar started a temple entry movement. So what was this temple entry movement? Well, in this movement, Ambedkar talked about a very important issue. There were many people, like his own community, who were not allowed to get inside the temple because they were treated as impure. So the Brahmins did not allow these people to enter the temple. But in 1927, Ambedkar began a movement which is called a temple entry movement. And in this movement, all his Meher caste followers participated. That means all the untouchables participated. So this angered the Brahmin priests. When the Dalits entered the temple, when the Dalits used the water from the temple tank, all these things angered the Brahmin priest because the Brahmins always wanted to show their superiority. So Ambedkar in this manner led 3 such temple entry movements between 1927 and 1935. And what is the main aim of these movements? Well, the main aim of these movements was to make everyone see the power of caste prejudice within society. He wanted everybody to see that how the higher caste society, how they dominated the lower caste. So this was the main aim with which this 3 movements from 1927 to 1935 was carried out. So this was all about B.R. Ambedkar. Now let's come to the next important topic, the non-Brahmin movement. So non-Brahmin movement, as the name suggests, it was a movement which was started by the non-Brahmin caste who were thought of to be very lower in status, isn't it? So this non-Brahmin movement began in the early 20th century. And this initiative of the non-Brahmin movement came from those castes that acquired access to education, wealth and influence. So many non-Brahmin people were there who got education and who could acquire wealth by working, and also they could influence the society. So these people, after education, they argued that the Brahmins were heirs of the Aryans. That means the Brahmins actually came from the Aryans, who were the foreigners and who invaded the south, the southern land of India from the north. And they also challenged the Brahminical claims to power. They wanted to show that the Brahmins were actually not powerful. And it was the Dravidian races in South India that was pure. So the non-Brahmin movement, as you can see, the 3rd and the 4th point, it actually started in South India. All right, so let's see who started it. So it was started by somebody called E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar or Periyar. So Periyar was from a very middle class family, and also he belonged to a lower caste. So Periyar had been an ascetic in early life and he studied Sanskrit scriptures carefully. He then became a member of the Congress party, but then there was an incident which did not allow him to be in Congress anymore. The incident was that there was a feast which was organized by the nationalist leaders, but in that feast it was seen that the sitting arrangement was made according to the caste system. That means Brahmins were asked to sit on the table, then there was a distance, and apart from the Brahmins, the lower caste people were allowed to sit, some were allowed to sit on the floor. So because of all these caste arrangements, he did not feel like being in the Congress party, and that is why he left. He was convinced that the untouchables had to fight for themselves, had to fight their dignity. And that is why Periyar founded the self respect movement, which was a part of the non Brahmin movement in South India. So, what was the movement started by Periyar to convince the untouchables that they had to fight for their respect and dignity? It was the self respect movement. So Periyar argued that the untouchables were the actual true holders, the upholders of the original Tamil and Dravidian culture, which had been subjugated by the Brahmins. So he believed that the untouchables were the actual son of the soil, and it was the Brahmins who tried to dominate them. He also felt that all the religious authorities saw social divisions and equality as God given. But actually, whatever be the religious authorities, whatever be the different kind of religions, caste, etc., these are all man-made, as Periyar thought. Periyar wanted the untouchables to free themselves. Why he wanted the untouchables to free themselves? Because he believed, and he wanted everybody to believe, that religion, caste, and everything was not God given, it was man-made. And that is why he wanted all religions to free themselves. He wanted everybody to live equally in society. So Periyar was an outspoken critic. He criticized the Hindu scriptures, especially the codes of Manu, the ancient lawgiver, and the Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. So codes of Manu, or we also call it the Manusmriti. So in the Manusmriti, a lot of things are written whereby the caste system was shown as a very rigid system which was given by God. So Periyar wanted this Manusmriti to be banned. He also was against the Bhagavad Gita and the Ramayana for his own reasons, because he believed that reading this text makes people, more divided. So, according to Periyar, these texts or these religious books had always been used over time to establish the authority, the power of the Brahmins over the low caste people. And in this way, there was more of domination of men over women. So, not only domination was seen in the sense of the caste, but also domination of gender, men over the women were seen. And because all these books somehow supported this kind of illogical authorities, that is why Periyar believed that these books should not be read by people. All right. So these assertions that Periyar talked about, it did not go unchallenged. That means people spoke a lot against it. So the forceful speeches, writings, and movements of low caste leaders did lead to rethinking and self-criticism among upper caste nationalist leaders. There were many orthodox people in the society who founded certain, Sanatan Dharma Sabha, the Bharat Dharma Mahamandal in the north, and also the Brahman Sabha in Bengal. So all these sabhas and samitis that you can see in point number 3, these were all reactions against whatever the non-Brahmin movement talked about. The main objective of this movement was to uphold the caste system, and also to show that scriptures always talked about this kind of caste discrimination. So there were lots of debates, lots of struggle that went on, and even today this kind of constant struggles and debates are still going on regarding the rigid caste system. So this is E.V. Ramaswamy, about whom we were talking so far. And these are the new words. I want you all to write these down in your copy. Prejudice, outraged, assertion, cornerstones, sanctified. All the meanings are given as well. So make sure you all know these well. And of course, these are your homework. So these are short answer type questions which you need to answer in your copy and submit it in Google Classroom. This PPT is also shared with you all in Google Classroom. So after watching the entire video, after going through the PPT that I have shared already in Google Classroom, or that I'll be sharing now in your WhatsApp group, kindly go through it, and after that make sure that you write the answers and try to submit it before this class ends, so that when we begin with our next period, which is also a live class, you all are left with no doubts. Thank you, students. I'll meet you again in the next period, which is again a live class. Thank you.